Good morning. I'm Faye Smith, a third-year student studying ecology and environmental science, and I'm the president of the Black Student Union. It is my pleasure to welcome you to the State of the University address for the University of Maine and its regional campus, the University of Maine at Machias. As we celebrate Black History Month, I encourage you to join with me in recognizing the many contributions that African Americans have made to this community of scholars, the state of Maine, the United States, and worldwide. The University of Maine recognizes that it is located on Marsh Island in the homeland of Penobscot people, where issues of water and territorial rights and encroachment upon sacred sites are ongoing. Penobscot homeland is connected to other Wabanaki tribal nations, the Passamaquoddy, Maliseet, and Micmac, through kinship, alliances, and diplomacy. The university also recognizes that the Penobscot Nation and other Wabanaki tribal nations are distinct, sovereign, legal, and political entities with their own powers of self-governance and self-determination.
Thank you, Faye. Hi, good morning. My name is William Dee Nichols, and I'm the president of the University of Maine Faculty Senate and a professor of literacy, language, and culture in the School of Learning and Teaching, College of Education, Human Development. And today I'm joined by my colleague, Jamie Moreira, president of the University of Maine at Machias Faculty Assembly, who is also an associate professor of community studies. We are both delighted to be able to greet our viewing audience this morning for the State of the University address, and are equally pleased to be representing the faculty at our respective universities. The University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias are both fully committed to the vision and values that have been previously identified, and we look forward to learning more about the state of the university and the direction that we are heading.
Thank you, Dee, and thank you, Faye. Good morning, UMaine and University of Maine Machias. Thanks for joining us today. I am Lisa Neuman, Associate Professor of Anthropology and Native American Studies, and President of the UMaine chapter of AFA, the Faculty Union. The State of the University address traditionally marks the beginning of a new academic year or semester and provides an opportunity for the university communities to come together to reflect on the past year, celebrate accomplishments and milestones, and get a perspective look from our president about where we are headed for the future. To foster engagement during this event, if you have questions for President Ferrini-Mundy, please email them to umaine.alerts with an S at maine.edu. That's umaine.alerts@maine.edu, or put them in the chat. At this time, I'm excited to introduce Harrison Ransley, President of the UMaine Student Government Association. Harrison?
Thank you very much, Lisa. Good morning, everyone. University of Maine Machias students, staff, faculty, alumni, and guests. I would like to also extend a shout out particularly to students who have worked hard to make this semester happen. And I'd also like to take a moment to just thank all the students who have worked on COVID relief locally and on this campus. Keep up the good work. It's very important, and that's awesome. For those who don't know, student government represents student interest to the administration and handles funding for student clubs and initiatives. If any one of you is ever interested or would like to join or stay updated, we have a webpage on the UMaine website, or follow us at UMSG Inc. on Instagram. Today, though, I'm especially honored to introduce our president, Joan Ferrini-Mundy, who started her presidency at UMaine and UMaine Machias in July 2018. So a little bit about our president. She actively engages with policy and decision-making bodies in higher education, STEM education, research and development, and works to strengthen the economy on state, national, and international levels. Currently, President Ferrini-Mundy is a member of the National Academy's Board on Higher Education and the Workforce. She is a member of the Maine Executive Steering Committee for the 10-year statewide Economic Strategic Plan. And President Ferrini-Mundy is an at-large member of the Association of Public Land Grant Universities Board of Directors. She serves on the boards of Maine Center Ventures and Maine and Company, and is an ex officio board member of the University of Maine Foundation. Prior to joining the UMaine and UMaine Machias communities, she held positions at the National Science Foundation, the University of New Hampshire, the National Academy of Science, and Michigan State University. She has more than 100 publications and has mentored 10 doctoral students and has received many awards and recognitions. She is a co-pi of the new $240 million grant to the University of Maine system from the Harold Alfond Foundation. At UMaine, she is focused on supporting and growing our great research mission and making it possible for all UMaine students to be a part of it, beginning in their first year. She recognizes how special UMaine's coastal campus, the University of Maine at Machias, is, and is always interested in how we can partner and learn from one another and prepare the next generations of talented, innovative leaders for Maine and beyond.
Thank you so much, Harrison, for that wonderful introduction. And thanks to Lisa and Faye and Dee and everyone who's joining me today for this coming together of our university communities. I want to recognize members of the cabinet who are on the line and to introduce you to three who have joined in the past year. Chris Richards, Vice President for Enrollment Management, Joanne Ystremski, Interim Vice President for Finance and Administration and CBO, and John Volin, Executive Vice President for Academic Affairs and Provost. And I wish to introduce and thank Vice President and Chief of Staff, Dr. Kimberly Whitehead, for coordinating this activity today, and to thank all of you who have helped put this event together. Wow, what a year. There's no way in this 1 hour that I can possibly describe the challenges, accomplishments, and forward progress for the University of Maine and our regional campus, the University of Maine at Machias, in the past 12 months. So not going to try to do that comprehensively. Instead, the people who are making a difference, represented here by just a few of the many who deserve to be recognized today, will give voice to what has happened over this time. I reread my speech from last year's State of the University. There was no mention of pandemics or renewed energy nationwide for racial justice or heightened focus on our environment and the impacts of climate change on our planet and what we can do about it. In this year, though, those topics have defined us. So here's what I can say about the state of the university today. It is healthy and sound. I am humbled by what we have accomplished this year. At the same time, I am more hopeful than ever about what the future holds for the University of Maine and the University of Maine at Machias. I think about what we do here with a variety of images. One image is concentric circles, where students are in the center, and all that we do, strengthening that core, expanding the opportunities, taking care of one another, surrounds it. Here is just a quick list of some of the accomplishments of our students and efforts undertaken on behalf of our students in the past year. 88% of degree-seeking undergraduates return from the spring 20 semester to the fall 20 semester. In this semester and the two before it, 3,537 of our 6,391 course sections across UMaine and UMaine Machias have been offered in modalities that include online, remote, and distance options. 2,340 students have elected to use the extended pass-fail options, and 153 are eligible for the Make the Grade extension. I was fortunate to be able to meet with students in 2 President's Roundtables on race with students, and those students gave us dozens of recommendations. Since the beginning of the pandemic, 216 faculty have worked with instructional designers in the Center for Innovation in Teaching and Learning on 309 courses and have put in more than 3,000 hours on addressing the new realities of teaching during COVID. Our football athletes participated in a Colonial Athletics conference video for promoting racial justice. The average GPA for our Black Bear Division I athletes this fall was an outstanding 3.59. 270 students displayed their research in the 2020 Virtual Student Symposium last October, usually held in April, but postponed due to COVID-19. The Black Bear Exchange reports that since September, it has served 290 people, made 2,700 total visits, and distributed 49,000 pounds of food. But those numbers, which are remarkable, don't tell the full story. So let's hear from some of those remarkable students and from faculty and staff who have been on the front lines of making sure that our students are at the core. Paula is next.
Thank you. I'm Paula Drewniany, and I am in the Department of Mathematics and Statistics. And I'd like to start by saying first that I feel really lucky that I'm in a department with colleagues who are supportive, creative, innovative, who really care about helping each other. That has been especially nice during this past year. So I'm going to take you through some of the challenges really fast and some of the accomplishments. First, March. I went up to my son's bedroom. He wasn't there. I pushed all the furniture to the side. I put whiteboards on his wall. I went down to the kitchen. I moved the stuff so that the chalkboard was visible so I could really use the chalkboard if I needed it for office hours. Then I was not as technologically savvy as many of you, so I had to learn about Blackboard, Kaltura, Zoom, Brightspace. I put aside the whiteboards, and this fall I was using an iPad along with my laptop so I could see my students and say, "Oh, this is an important point. Please put away your cell phones." And then I'd see them quickly put them away. So for me, communication between myself and my students has been key. And the way that's happened has evolved in some pretty surprising ways for me. I use in my classrooms, breakout rooms, and students are together in small groups. Even in groups of 75 on Zoom, students are answering questions, they are asking questions. We use polls so those who are quieter can communicate. All these are new to me, relatively new to me, and to some of my students. Next, I know you don't want to hear me go on, but I'm going to say one other thing. This year, I have been frustrated, I've been exhausted, I've been mad, I've been determined, and sometimes I've been triumphant. And in all that, I'm closer to my students too, because as they learn so many things so quickly, they're going through that array of emotions. And though I knew it intellectually, I now have a better feel for really what they're feeling because I'm feeling it too. So it's been a year of tremendous growth for my students, for me. And I just want to say that I think UMaine is doing a terrific job. Thanks.
Andy.
Good morning. My name is Andra Bowen. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm the Director of Residence Life at the University of Maine. I am here on behalf of the more than 100 Residence Life student, graduate, and professional staff members who live and work in the residence halls to build a safe, strong, supportive community for our residential population. I'd like to tell you a little bit about us. We are a team who is here when everyone else goes home for the day. We are a team who creates a home away from home for our students to feel safe, welcomed, and included. We are a team who is first to respond to our students in crisis, the students with questions, concerns, anxieties, and the students who simply need another human to be with them as they navigate and process their individual experience under the heavy weight of a global pandemic. We are a team who teaches our students what it means to be active and engaged members of a community. We are a team who teaches students to take responsibility and care for themselves and other members of the community. And this year, more than any year, that matters. As you can imagine, the past year has been incredibly challenging for our staff and students. Building and being part of a community under the constraints of gathering limitations and physical distancing has had an impact on the way that we do our work and create a home at UMaine. We've shifted our work to balance remote engagement opportunities with the critical need for students to safely and physically be near one another. We've held our residential students to a high standard of compliance with safety guidelines in defense of the well-being of our campus neighborhood, only reinforcing the community ideal that what an individual does can and does directly impact the greater group. Despite challenges and obstacles, though, we continue to grow and expand our service to students. We've worked with many offices and colleges across campus to develop living learning initiatives known to enhance the student, residential, and academic experience for this year, and are currently expanding our offerings even more for the fall. We've safely housed and supported students through shelter-in-place orders, quarantines, and isolations. We've been here with them as they celebrate their individual wins and dream about the normalcy of a post-pandemic campus. I tell our students that they can do hard things. We all do. Individually, we do things that are hard every day. What we've done this year in keeping halls open and students safe and together seemed virtually impossible at first, but we did it. Through teamwork, guidance from university leadership, faith in science, and a fierce commitment to this community, we did what everyone said that we couldn't do. And when our community eventually disperses, as it does at the end of every year, we will be sending individuals into the world who not only believe that they can do the impossible, they'll know it. So in these unprecedented and challenging times, I've never been prouder to be a Black Bear and to represent the University of Maine. I'd like to congratulate and profoundly thank the staff and students I work with, particularly those like me who have chosen to call the University of Maine their home. Thank you.
Thank you, Nicole.
Hi, my name is Nicole Despres, and I am a senior representing the University of Maine nursing program. The School of Nursing this past year has been faced with numerous obstacles. As a student, one of the biggest challenges that we have had to face are the restrictions to our hands-on clinical hours due to COVID-19 restrictions. Over the past 2 semesters, myself, as well as all of the other students and the faculty, have had to learn to adapt to the ever-changing world, as well as experiment with new modalities of learning. Despite the numerous restrictions and a lot of trial and error, the biggest accomplishment, I would say, is our ability to adapt. We have adapted and been able to overcome these obstacles in order to maintain the integrity and quality of nursing education that we receive from the University of Maine. Over the past few months, we have been granted the opportunity to serve our school and community by administering COVID vaccines. I have had the opportunity to vaccinate around 100 individuals. We have partnered with, I believe, the Cross Insurance Arena, Eastern Maine Medical Center, and now PCHC to be able to administer these vaccines. This has been such a positive experience to see the impact that we are having on our community and to be able to see the efforts that our community is making to help end this pandemic. Being able to help fight this pandemic hands-on has been an amazing experience, and it has helped me solidify my knowledge and skills, helped me gain confidence, and given me some hope that one day we will go back to some sense of normalcy. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Paula, Andy, Nicole. Next, Silvestre.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. My name is Silvestre Guzman, and I am an admissions counselor representing the Office of Admissions here at the University of Maine. Like many other departments across campus and here at UMaine and at Maine Machias, one of the biggest challenges that the Office of Admissions here at UMaine faced is the inability to travel to high schools and community colleges to interact with our prospective students. However, this challenge has created opportunities for innovation. For instance, we have created opportunities to interact with our students virtually, one-on-one, utilizing Zoom meetings. We assembled the appropriate departments offering virtual open houses and information sessions. We developed virtual campus tours, enhanced social media engagement, and restructured the merit-based scholarships to be more inclusive. On a personal level, I do believe that these challenges have generated new opportunities to reach more diverse population. Because of these virtual meetings, we have been able to reach students across the country in every state, and thus diversifying the student population here at the University of Maine and UMaine Maine Machias. Finally, I'd like to thank everyone for contributing to the recruitment efforts for the admissions office. And we at the admissions office have a highly dedicated team guided by the core values of diversity, equity, and inclusion, ready to assist our students. So should anyone have a question or concerns, by all means, do not hesitate to reach out to the admissions office, and we will do all we can to answer those questions. Gracias.
Thank you, Silvestre. Thanks to all of you. And again, these individuals are outstanding, and you can hear the way in which they're acknowledging that there are teams of people making all of this happen. It's wonderful to hear. Now I have a second image, which is an organizational chart, flattened out. Okay, we're flattening the organizational chart and stretching it horizontally. Beginning almost a year ago, we faced a pandemic and realized, okay, we can just go to the next slide in that format's good, just to give an idea. So our org chart. All right, I'm going to continue. You get the idea. Beginning almost a year ago, we faced a pandemic and realized that our response needed to be rapid, dynamic, and focused. We had to make decisions by bringing together those who could inform those decisions, those who would need to be involved in implementing them, and those who could count on to put students first and be compassionate and caring above all else. After getting all of those folks together in the Zoom room where it would happen meant setting aside our organizational charts a little bit, setting aside our traditional communications pathways and finding new ones. We all needed to be humble enough to listen to one another and to science, and we needed to weigh options, adjust, change direction, and continuously improve. Since last March 12th, we have held 101 8 a.m. meetings, initially every day of the week, of a group of about 50 people, including the cabinet, the deans, the faculty, members of the facilities management staff, auxiliary enterprises staff, AFM leaders, Senate and Assembly leaders, and more from UMaine and UMaine Machias to talk over what we were facing that week or that day, share perspectives, and inform decisions. Now we meet twice a week. I hope we can continue some of that flattening in creative ways going forward. It helped me to see, once again, that when we are working to solve complex problems in a complex environment, the inclusion of diverse expertise, diverse life experiences, and diverse points of view is vital in getting to good solutions. And I'm very grateful for the time that people have put to working on all that we have faced. And we stretched horizontally too, to borrow language from my friend Joseph Aoun, the president of Northeastern University, and our new neighbors in Maine through the Rue Institute in Portland, another project that happened in this past year. Individuals have stretched to take on new responsibilities. Think about those incredible 175 plus student workers in our testing sites who can tell us exactly how much to drool in the tube so that our samples will be acceptable, and so much more. In fact, think about the university's staff who've become expert in Maine's changing CDC's detailed guidance about everything from mask wearing to distancing to gathering size protocols in different contexts. Think about the faculty who've learned to teach in completely new ways and who have conferred with their colleagues across the university to get tips and support and who have listened to their students and adjusted. Think about a president who's been challenged to reach back to what she can remember about her 8th grade science project on viruses and now reads everything she can find about vaccines. Scientists have kept their own research going while simultaneously becoming experts on the wastewater flow and infrastructure of our campus. Engineers have partnered with Maine companies to help them rethink their operations during the pandemic, and students have been a part of all of this. So most of all, think about the students whose resilience, willingness to adapt, efforts to help their faculty find the mute button, and commitment to stick with this education under some extremely challenging personal circumstances, everyone learning and expanding. Here are a few highlights. Since August of 2020, 31,871 COVID tests have been administered at UMaine and UMaine Machias, with a total of 167 positive cases. 119.7 gallons of wastewater have been sampled and analyzed in our labs here on campus to test for COVID. Dozens of faculty and staff from UMaine and UMaine Machias participated in Governor Mills' Maine Can't Wait Climate Action Plan, the Economic Recovery Committee, and a multitude of committees and working groups across the state that are promoting the place of science and engineering for economic health, talent development, and the attraction and expansion of businesses in our state. Indeed, UMaine faculty and staff have partnered with 100 Maine companies to help with everything from repurposing distillery equipment to facilitating production with robots. And University of Maine faculty, staff, and students have produced 3,000 gallons of hand sanitizer for Maine healthcare facilities. Athletics and Cooperative Extension partnered to set up an antigen testing facility for our athletes. Faculty and staff have generated dozens of great ideas in the Define Tomorrow activity led by the provost. So now I'd like you to meet some of the people who can tell you about what it was like to work in these new areas, to expand their interactions with others, sometimes with unexpected partners from all corners and all levels of the university and the state. So I believe we begin with Dr. Stewart.
Good morning. I'm Sarah Stewart. I'm the lead physician at Cutler Health Center on the University of Maine campus. I am also a native Mainer, having grown up 2 hours north of here, and a proud UMaine alum who is rapidly stepping up on my 20-year reunion year. So I've been here and associated with the university for a long time. Cutler Health Center's responsibility and how we participated in the COVID pandemic was when this first came out and all the students went away last March, and we were talking about what are we going to do when they come back in the fall. The greater healthcare system's answer was, you know what, we're setting this up at Bass Park. We're going to have respiratory centers. Send your students there. That's where we're going to do it. You take care of the other stuff. And our team here felt really strongly that that was not what was best for our students. We take responsibility for them. We know them best. And we want to take care of them here because we can give them the education, the support, and what they need. And so all of our employees bought into that. They wanted to take care of the students. They wanted to do what we had. Couldn't do that by ourselves. So we found ourselves interacting with a lot of other organizations and places on campus that we really hadn't had a lot of interaction with before. The Student Advisory Board and Dick Young were both really instrumental in helping us figure out this is what we need to do for testing. We had to find testing, what's going to be the best. And it was a huge challenge for testing because every time we thought we found the right one, not available anymore. It's been sold, it's somewhere else. So worked really hard together, and I think we've come up with a really great for our students that are symptomatic. How are we going to get you tested? How are we going to get fast results? How are we going to get you taken care of? Back to your classes, back to what you can to be as normal for you as possible. Other challenge that we came up with, because me being pessimistic by nature, I was like, you know what, the students are going to come back. October, we'll be gone. So we set up we divided our office into 2 sections, non-COVID symptoms, COVID symptoms, COVID symptoms in the fall. We were meeting them outside in a tent. Facility's going to set up the tent. Facility's built us a ramp. We'd ask for something, and there it was because they wanted the students taken care of. Students proved me wrong. They did what they had to do to be safe. And, the first snow was flying, and we're like, where are we going to go with this? And within 48 hours, we had a whole second section set up in the Cutler Health Center. 2 separate entrances, basically 2 clinics now. Facilities worked with us. Dick Young, again, was really instrumental with that. UVAC gave up space with us. So we've really had this opportunity through all this to work with a lot of people we hadn't with on this campus. And I think it's opened up new relationships that we'll be able to utilize in the future to offer even more resources and services for our students. And the other thing is the faculty and staff here have been amazingly supportive of what we've had to do. Our patients, we're like, we can't keep you safe and do a mass flu clinic here. What are we going to do? Our staff was like, we will work extra. We will come in on a weekend on our time off, and we'll do a mass vaccine clinic. I'll be honest, I didn't sleep the whole week because I'm like, this is going to be an epic failure or it's going to be amazingly awesome. And I think it was one of the most successful collaborations we've done with the university all semester. 300 vaccines, 3 hours. UMaine nursing students worked with us. Athletic training students worked with us. UMaine PD was down here. Facilities came at the drop of a hat when we needed something changed to make it more efficient. And I will say every faculty and staff and member that came through, everybody was smiling. Everybody had their mask on. Everybody was thankful. And I feel like it just bridged a lot of gaps with people maybe that we hadn't seen before in other ways. And I think it was really uplifting for all of us, those that were working and those that received their vaccines. And I hope it gives us maybe directions to go in the future. And I feel really fortunate that in my role, I've had a way to participate in helping this COVID pandemic and not just stand on the sidelines. Maine is really important to me. It's where I grew up. This university is really important to me. And I think I'm very appreciative because anytime I've said to somebody on this campus, this is what I think we need to do for our students and our staff to keep them safe. How are we going to do it? I've never heard the word no. It's always been like, all right, how can we do this together to make it work? And a lot of my colleagues don't have that, and they're feeling very isolated and alone now. And I have never felt that way in this response. So I know you're going to hear a lot of the people behind me, Bob Norman, Dr. Maginnis. They're probably going to be like, man, I kind of hope I don't have to talk to her again anytime soon after this pandemic is over. But I really appreciate the relationships, and I'm really thankful for everybody and everything that everybody is doing for our students, for us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Bob.
If I can unmute, and I can guarantee you it's always a pleasure to talk to Sarah. So thank you for that invitation, Sarah. I'm Bob Norman. I work for the University of Maine Police Department, and either lucky or unlucky, I also happen to be the lead for the University of Maine Emergency Operations Center Operations Section. Okay. Over a year ago, our Emergency Operations Center was charged with the development and implementation of safety procedures while operating in our current pandemic environment. Since that time, when you think of what we've done, since that time, we've depopulated campus on an emergency basis. We've repopulated campus, and we're currently maintaining one of the safest, I'm going to call them bubbles, in the state of Maine. All this hasn't happened in a vacuum. Consistently throughout, and hopefully you all are picking up on it now, we didn't know what our speeches were before we talked, but the consistent theme is working together. I mean, there's an amazing synergy that's happening right now. I have to admit, I'm been here for over 40 years and been through a few things. I have never seen this level of synergy and cooperation on the university before. So thank you for your leadership, President Ferrini-Mundy. But how does all this happen? The logistic teams has been responsible for the acquisition and distribution of literally tens of thousands of pieces of protective gear and face coverings and some of the plexiglass that you all have to look through now when you teach, cleaning materials. I mean, just imagine that. Currently, and that team has reached the point where currently we're actually acting as a distribution point for all the rest of the university system and testing materials. So that's something to be said for that. Throughout the time of COVID, MEMA reached out to us and said, okay, what can you do to help us? MEMA is the Maine Emergency Management Agency. So while we depopulated campus and we're making plans to repopulate campus, in the middle of that, the state of Maine reached out and said, and was projecting that we were going to have, I'm going to call it a mass casualty incident, and we actually readied our residence halls to take on some of the influx of people that may have to be quarantined. So nothing happens in a vacuum. Okay, we were no exception in helping the state of Maine. The president has already mentioned the manufacture of hand sanitizer. There's a little bit more to that story that you have to understand, okay? Literally, the state of Maine, and Sarah can back me up on this, was very close to running out of hand sanitizer. What do you do? You know, so we were able to get our labs, and they volunteered to get our labs, they said, to manufacture the hand sanitizer, and then, okay, where are we gonna get the raw materials? Maine breweries stepped up and said throughout the state to give us what we needed and what our labs needed for raw materials to manufacture that hand sanitizer. It was our logistics teams that were able to go to the breweries, pick up what they needed to do, or needed to transport back. Our labs manufactured the hand sanitizer, and then we had the distinct pleasure of delivering that hand sanitizer to the medical facilities and to the long-term care facilities that in some cases were on the verge of running out. Just the fact that we were able to receive their gratefulness, I think, is the best way of words, is rewarding in itself. Okay. Also during that time, as you all are well aware, our classrooms and other spaces were redesigned to comply with social distancing and population density guidelines. Our research and instructional processes were also modified with the whole goal of ensuring that everybody that worked and learned on this campus is going to do so in a safe environment. This wasn't done just by the EOC or any one or two individuals. This was an entire community mobilization and commitment. And we couldn't have done it without the community and everybody on this call. And by the way, in addition to the 30,000 plus tests that the president referred to that we've already done, then it's projected that we're going to do another 85,000 tests before the semester ends. And we're going to accomplish that by the lab that we've acquired that's actually sitting on our campus. So we'll be combining tests from all across the university system, including the University of Maine Machias, and processing those issues right here with less than a 10-hour turnaround. When we get the test, as far as community collaboration, okay, so say a positive test does come in. The positive test is detected, and then our contact tracing team, made up of members of the university community, make sure that everybody that's involved with that is identified so we can contain the virus. And then we have a care management team made up mainly of all those folks from residential life that Andrew was talking about. And literally, it's what I call a concierge service, where our students are taken care of on a one-by-one basis, so they have everything they need to be successful throughout. It's been planning, it's been consistency, and it's been the community involvement that really have been the pillars of our success. And I gauge our success simply by the fact that our positivity rate for the virus has been consistently stayed well under the state's average. And that's our goal, to keep it that way. And what that means in the long term, the direct medical impact of COVID-19 has been minimal. To our knowledge, and I see every case coming across our desk, we have not had a university community member hospitalized due to COVID-19. That's due to the efforts of everybody. So if there's a light aside of this whole bad thing that is happening to us, it's simply this. It's amazing what we can do when we put our minds together and put our efforts together. I really hope that we carry this forward into the future. So thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Thank you so much, Bob. Melissa.
Good morning. My name is Melissa Maginnis. I'm an associate professor in the Department of Molecular and Biomedical Sciences, and I'm the lead scientist of the UMaine System COVID-19 Science Advisory Board. The Science Advisory Board is chaired by President Ferrini-Mundy and is comprised of faculty from the University of Maine and the University of Southern Maine with expertise in virology, immunology, biomedical sciences and engineering, and statistics. It has been inspiring to work alongside my colleagues to provide science-based evidence to the university leadership throughout this pandemic. In addition to moonlighting on the SAB, we're all continuing to run our research programs, teach, and support our students. The members of our team have been willing to lose sleep and do whatever it takes to keep our community safe. Over this past year, we followed the science, we established comprehensive COVID testing strategies, and partnered with the Jackson Laboratory and Vault Health for individual testing this fall. For the spring, we advocated for a more robust testing strategy to meet the rising demands of the pandemic and partnered with Shield T3 to implement weekly testing. In addition, we provided guidance on public health strategies such as the critical use of face coverings and distancing, and provided updates on treatments and vaccines. Remarkably, we also established a wastewater testing program on our campus that Claudia will speak about shortly. While the university developed a multi-layered approach to reduce the spread of the virus, the success of this plan was in the hands of our students, faculty, and staff. It required everyone to look out for one another and themselves. And when I walked across campus this fall and saw students studying alone on the mall, wearing their face coverings and heading into the testing site, I was incredibly proud of how our community was coming together with tenacity and compassion. It's a reminder of the reason that I chose a career at the University of Maine, the people. I feel very fortunate to be in Maine during this time and to be a part of this community that, when challenged over this past year, continues to roll up their sleeves and say, what can we do to help? Our collective efforts have helped to keep the COVID prevalence on our campuses very low throughout the fall and keep our communities safe. This reflects the commitment we have to one another and the willingness of our community to make personal sacrifices in support of continuing our education and research activities on our campuses. I have been very grateful for the opportunity to utilize my expertise as a virologist to work across the teams on our campus and within our University of Maine system and our state. It's been a delight to work with people like Bob and Dr. Stewart. I have been so proud of the University of Maine communities and most of all, our students. Thank you.
Thank you. Kate.
Thank you. I'm Kate Yerxa, Extension Professor and FNEP Coordinator with Cooperative Extension. I'm here today to share the accomplishments over the past year of Cooperative Extension's Expanded Food and Nutrition Education Program, or FNEP. Our challenge has been how to develop effective remote programming that is relevant and accessible to the FNEP audience. A little background about FNEP. FNEP is the first federal nutrition education program for limited income audiences, and it's delivered by over 70 cooperative extension programs across the nation. The rapid change in program delivery format has been significant as FNEP is required to use a paraprofessional educational model to deliver food and nutrition education to low-income families, young adults, and youth to improve their diet quality and improve household food security. COVID-19 has affected all income levels, and now more than ever, more people are newly experiencing food insecurity, in addition to those who were experiencing food insecurity before March 2020. To respond to the educational needs of Maine's expanding low-income population, FNEP staff worked quickly to learn best practices to adapt curriculum for remote delivery. FNEP educators consistently work to build the same sense of community in remote FNEP classes as they would create with in-person programs. A cornerstone of FNEP education focuses on planning, shopping for, and cooking healthy, inexpensive meals for the household. Without hands-on experiential activities like learning knife skills or cooking techniques, Alex Gayton, a registered dietitian and FNEP social media coordinator, developed the Mainly Dish recipe video series that demonstrate how to make healthy, quick, inexpensive, and tasty recipes. These videos have helped meet an identified program need and have been used by multiple programs in cooperative extension and other community programs. Development of web-based promotional materials, use of QR codes, and an online registration platform created by Cooperative Extension's communication and marketing team now allows FNEP to more effectively promote and enroll participants in educational programs. While the program delivery format has changed for FNEP, our participants' positive self-reported behavior change has been similar to, and many times actually better than, when education was delivered in person. As part of the land-grant institution, it's important for Cooperative Extension to meet its mission for outreach and provide education using research-based knowledge to the people of Maine. Now that UMaine Extension's FNEP program is being delivered remotely, staff are able to offer FNEP programs statewide, which we were not able to do a year ago. FNEP staff have developed new community partnerships that now view Cooperative Extension as a valued educational resource. It's been incredibly rewarding to work as part of an effective FNEP team to meet the unique needs of Maine's low-income families, but it's been equally rewarding to be part of Cooperative Extension's innovative and responsive educational resources and programs that have been developed over the past year.
Thank you, Kate. Heather.
Thank you, President. Good morning, everyone. My name is Heather Leslie, and I am Director of the Darling Marine Center and faculty in our School of Marine Sciences. I am honored to be here to represent the University of Maine faculty, staff, and students who have participated in the work of the Maine Climate Council over the last year and a half. The Climate Council was launched by Governor Mills in September 2019, and the Council's 39 members, together with more than 200 people involved in 6 working groups and the Science and Technical Subcommittee, worked throughout 2020 to develop a plan to achieve the ambitious emissions reduction goals laid out in Maine's climate law, a 45% reduction by 2030 and an 80% reduction in carbon emissions by 2050. Beyond reducing greenhouse gas emissions, the plan also focuses on several other key goals: economic opportunity, adaptation, and equity. I co-led the Coastal and Marine Working Group, which involved more than 30 experts from across the state. We also had robust participation from members of the public, including UMaine students and alumni. Knowing that we had to meet the December deadline to deliver the climate action plan, while challenging, was also comforting. That deadline was one of the few certain and unchanging things about 2020. And we did it. We delivered the plan to the legislature in December. Just as significantly, we listened to one another and we shared our experiences and our knowledge of how Maine's climate is changing and the importance of those changes for people here and around the world. That listening and learning will be crucial in achieving our climate goals in the next few years in particular. When I was asked to co-lead this group, I knew that there was more that I could do as a citizen, as a scientist, and as a mother to fight climate change. So I said yes, for future generations here in Maine and beyond. I am grateful that the governor and her staff invited me to participate, and I am also very grateful to President Ferrini-Mundy and the Maine community for encouraging and supporting publicly engaged scholarship like mine. It has been a difficult year in so many ways, but one of the bright spots for me, and I hope many others of you who participated in this process, has been engagement with the Maine Climate Council and the opportunities that we've had to share what we are learning and doing with students and colleagues here at UMaine. Thank you.
Thank you, Heather. And Claudia.
Thank you. Hello, I'm Claudia Desjardins, and I'm honored to be here today as the laboratory assistant for the UMaine COVID-19 wastewater monitoring team. I conduct the initial processing, testing, and data analysis for wastewater samples to detect SARS-CoV-2, the causative agent for COVID-19. I'd like to give a shout out to the entire wastewater team and acknowledge the great efforts that we have made together as a group. One significant accomplishment that we as a team have been able to achieve has been really stepping up our game from last semester by expanding our testing to include more universities, municipalities, as well as increasing the frequency of our testing each week. This means that we can potentially predict COVID outbreaks in our communities before they even happen. Because people will shed the virus before they start showing symptoms, wastewater testing can tell us a lot about disease prevalence before we even have the chance to test individuals. That way, we can see if further precautions need to be taken in order to prevent the further spread of the virus. For me, it has been incredibly rewarding to be part of a team that is working towards keeping the community safe and healthy. This pandemic has impacted all of our lives in so many different ways, and I've faced a lot of challenges over the past year as a result of the pandemic. However, this opportunity has helped me discover my passion to study and prevent infectious disease. Thank you.
So thank you so much, Sarah, Bob, Melissa, Kate, Heather, and Claudia. Again, wonderful reflections, and wishing that we could have longer conversations with all of you. Maybe we will. I think it illustrates certainly that so much has happened for the good this year, but it also, we need to continue to remind ourselves, this has been a very hard year. People have faced personal challenges, professional challenges, various kinds of unanticipated issues. And so the resilience of our community is something that I just want to also cite and congratulate. The final image that I'd like to use for the last portion of the talk is to convey a notion of celebration, and to point out that so much has happened this year as a result of the efforts of our very talented and committed University of Maine and University of Maine at Machias faculty, staff, students, alums, and supporters. The examples I want to give below or give next are truly transformational for us and will be foundational to the future of the University of Maine and our regional campus in Machias. In early October of 2020, a gift of $240 million from the University of Maine system, for the University of Maine system, was announced by the Harold Alfond Foundation. This extraordinary award is historic for public universities and systems. It's, we're told, the 9th largest gift ever to a public institution of higher education. UMaine is at the center of the work, which will transform UMaine athletics, help to create powerful new approaches to student success and retention, enable the building of a statewide college anchored at UMaine in close partnership with the University of Southern Maine in engineering, computing, and information science. And it will expand the interdisciplinary efforts and statewide reach of the Portland-based Maine Graduate and Professional Center, which is home of UMaine's rapidly growing MBA program in partnership with USM. In June of 2020, the University of Maine system announced another historic landmark when our request for unified accreditation was approved by the regional accrediting body. This opens up new possibilities for students across our system for expansion and for partnership of UMaine programs statewide. Also, the primary partnership being established between the University of Maine and UMaine Machias is a leading example and model for much of the work that will come as we take good advantage of our unified accreditation status. In August, the University of Maine announced a partnership with a group called New England Aqua Ventus, which is a joint venture between Diamond Offshore Wind, which is a subsidiary of Mitsubishi Corporation, and RWE Renewables, to work on the development of UMaine's floating offshore wind technologies off the coast of Maine. The developer is investing $100 million in our state for this project, a project born at UMaine and worked on by multiple faculty, staff, and students in the Advanced Structures and Composites Center led by Habib Dagger. In July, I established the President's Council on Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion to advise us and to make recommendations for how to operationalize our commitment to inclusive excellence, to address systemic and structural racism, and to identify the impediments that we have here to diversity, equity, and inclusions truly being at our core. Our external funding numbers are at an all-time high, and our National Science Foundation-based research and development ranking is at an all-time low. That's a good thing. We've moved up from number 154 to number 146. Our research enterprise is thriving and our students are central to it. There's so much more to say. I'd like you to meet some of the people who exemplify this progress and who are part of what bring this kind of good fortune and opportunity for celebration to UMaine and who make a difference. So we'll begin with Danielle.
Yes, thank you. I am Danielle Gabrielli, and I want to thank you today for allowing me to speak with you. I am here representing the President's DEI Council, and I am a proud first-year education doctoral student at the University of Maine. I very much love this university. I am also someone who identifies proudly as Black, female, and LGBTQ, and I am elated this year to serve as a proud TA to my inspiring class full of future educators who have already given me a run for my money. They have taught me from their eyes about the absolute need for diversity to grow at UMaine, work which involves this very important council. I have served as a graduate intern to the council since October 2020 under the inspiring direction of both Susan McKay and Kimberly Whitehead, and given the passion of approximately 30 faculty, staff, and students involved, I am in a state of awe. I am in awe because we are in the midst of such a difficult time given the current divisive political climate and intensely challenging ways to meet the obstacles of running a university under COVID-19, and yet we rise. I have been exhilarated about experiencing the firsthand of the brilliant intellect and raw passion that exists around the issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion of the members of this council. So far, we have been able to meet several times as a council, exchanging in dialogues about ways to improve a university through the implementation of a work of committees. We have produced an initial report with 45 recommendations to address structural impediments to the president by the end of December. We've received funding through proposal to create a lecture series that is sensitive to the need of addressing diversity for our student, faculty, and staff population. And in addition, we have had the opportunity to address the board in conjunction with the efforts of the other universities of Maine about the trajectory for the council's work. The challenge for this council remains in addressing the systematic obstacles that must be overcome and holding current systems of inequity accountable. As I reflect today about what this means for the University of Maine, I think about the wise words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. I say to you today, my friends, that in spite of difficulties and frustrations at the moment, I still have a dream. It is well known that Dr. Martin Luther King had this dream of societal transformation, and although he has left the physical world, his spirit of transformation remains alive and well in the very work of this council, despite any difficulties and frustration. Whether it is through addressing our need for improved recruitment practices, lack of diverse faculty, staff, and students who stay, or structural impediments that must be given more attention, a stark reality exists that change can and must occur. It is needed in this moment, and more importantly, now is the time. The ability to take part in such a council and to offer my time makes me feel empowered, as we are not just making progress, we are progress. And as a part of this progress, I am aware just how impactful this council will be. I look forward to our future, the same future that begins with a dream and that is built tirelessly day in and day out, despite the difficulties and frustrations of the moment. It takes us all, every single one of us, to address these issues as the president has spoken about. And if you think you do not need to be a part of this process, then you are part of the problem and not the solution. I want to make sure that students take the issues very seriously and that we focus on diversity. A diversity that is not only measured by skin tone, but also touches ability, religion, issues of gender inequality and transgender rights, sexuality, age, culture, and all shades in between. I will tell you that this is possible. And I know that as a proud student and faculty at the University of Maine, that I will not stop until the work is done, which means I might need to stick around for a little while longer. We must gather and make this world a better place, and the University of Maine and University of Machias a better place. Starting with the continued work of the President's Council, we can. The future is in my hands, your hands, our hands, and is called upon by the President. As an enlightened people, we must act. Thank you.
Thank you, Danielle. Darren and Lois Ann.
Good morning, everyone. Hi, I'm Darren Ranco, and I am Chair of Native American Programs at the University of Maine. Thank you so much, President Ferrini-Mundy, for including me, and Lois Ann, who I think will talk a little bit at the end as we go through one of the exciting initiatives that is connecting the UMaine Orono campus with the UMaine Machias campus. So our programs, which are responsible, Native American programs are responsible for a minor in Native American Studies, and the Wabanaki Center, which is a student development and community outreach center at UMaine, has faced a lot of challenges this year, as you can all imagine, but we've also had some great successes over the last year, thanks to the amazing staff. And I'm here to talk about one of our newest initiatives. And it's, it makes those linkages between the campuses really possible, and really focuses in on the Passamaquoddy tribal communities in Washington County, so close to the UMaine Machias campus. So next slide. So this new program is called New Beginnings for Wabanaki Students. It was funded this past October by the U.S. Department of Agriculture. The goals for today are including discussing why this program is needed, as well as the infrastructure we have built through the Wabanaki Youth and Science program that it will be using, and highlight the specific goals of the grant. Next slide, please. I'm sure everyone knows where all of our tribes are located in the state, but in case you don't, please review this slide. I always have to do this until everyone I meet on the street can tell me who we all are as tribal citizens and where we're from. Next slide. So just a little bit about why this program is needed. If you look at, this is just ends in 2016, but if you look at Passamaquoddy Indian Township, the enrollments from that community across the University of Maine system fell quite a bit in that time period. And the numbers have not recovered in the way that we would really like. So we're really focusing on there. Pleasant Point community has stayed relatively stable in that time, but we really wanted to focus in on Washington County and the Passamaquoddy tribes. Next slide, please. And if you look at the numbers also at UMaine Machias, UMM, down halfway through to the screen there, those numbers also over that time period kind of stayed same. They haven't gone in the direction we really want, and we just know that there's it's such a great resource, the UMaine Machias community. So we really wanted to focus in on, especially Indian Township, UMaine Machias for a program. Next slide, please. So one of the great accomplishments we've made over the last decade is the establishment of the Wabanaki Youth and Science program, which has developed place-based educational opportunities across all the tribes in STEM education. It engages Wabanaki youth in the sciences. It brings together different science traditions, so Wabanaki students see themselves in the curriculum, in the classroom, and it builds future leaders and graduates more Wabanaki students. And we've had about a 15% increase in Wabanaki graduates in STEM fields since the establishment of this program. Next slide. So what does this new program do? New Beginnings for Wabanaki Students. It's a 3-year grant from the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and it establishes a Native American student support infrastructure at the University of Maine Machias with support from the Wabanaki Center and the WAYS program. It will develop 10 Wabanaki youth, Wabanaki undergraduate food, agricultural, natural resources, and human sciences, FAN-H, and education ambassadors per year to connect Washington County Native American students and communities to UMaine and UMaine Machias programs. And you can see our goal is to increase levels of enrollment and graduation, which I think are very, very possible in these next 3 to 4 years. And none of this would be possible, of course, without this new grant. And we're hiring, we're very close to hiring a half-time position that will really, for the very first time, have a dedicated presence at the UMaine Machias campus for Native American student retention and recruitment. So that's the end of my slideshow, and I hand it over to Lois Ann so she can get the view from that, that side of things.
Thank you, Darren. I'm Lois Ann Kuntz, Chair of our Arts and Letters Division at UMM, and I teach psychology courses for the Psychology and Community Studies program. UMM is thrilled and honored to be part of this important work. It's a privilege to work at UMM supporting the careers and dreams of our neighbors. Having the Native American and the WAYS programs share their important work at UMM helps us offer new beginnings for our Passamaquoddy neighbors. Thank you.
Thank you both. Sandra.
Thank you, Madam President. Good morning. My name is Sandra de Dios de Stone. I'm a faculty member in the School of Forest Resources, and I'm honored to be here today representing the UMaine National Science Foundation Research Traineeship in Conservation Science and Practice. This program that received funding in 2018 is aimed at training the next generation of conservation leaders that contribute to understanding and enhancing resilience of natural systems, rural communities, and organizations in our state. We've been fortunate to be able to attract a diverse group of students, very enthusiastic students from across the country who are interested in leading efforts that make a difference in our communities. We have faculty from multiple academic units and research centers that are represented and leading most of the work that we're conducting through our program. We include coursework, research, outreach to be able to train these graduate students in interdisciplinary research, teamwork, and practice. Our program also includes a close collaboration with private and public partners in Maine to ensure that our work and research make a difference to our residents of our state. The pandemic has presented numerous challenges for everyone in the program, including the challenges with distance learning, inability to meet in person, to collaborate with our practicing professionals and partners, the stress and many things that we all have experienced. However, we have turned these challenges into opportunities to be creative on how to continue our collaborative work through online webinars, our remote meetings with our partners, understanding the importance of resilience, which although it's the central focus of our research, we're trying to utilize this concept also to demonstrate how useful it is to us as persons to be able to be resilient and respond to uncertainty and challenges. We're working closely with our partners to shift our internship opportunities from in-person to remote modalities while still centering on student and partner needs. It also has provided opportunities to practice adaptive management, flexible thinking, and effectively change plans. To me, this experience has allowed us to increase our collaborative capacity at UMaine, not only as faculty and students, but also with our partners. It has allowed us to form strong student cohorts and teams that enhance our ability to respond to uncertainty now and in the future, appreciate and learn to use tools to allow for prompt feedback like the use of reflective journals with our students, and realize that although our structures may seem rigid, when crisis hit, we have shown we can respond effectively and promptly while being compassionate. To me, it has been a humbling experience to observe and experience the camaraderie and support from our students, faculty, and partners. Now more than ever, I see the value and strength of collaboration. When we work together towards a common goal, we can more effectively and efficiently overcome adversity. And I'm appreciative for being part of this amazing community and look forward to our continued work. Thank you and be well.
Thank you, Sandra. And Caitlin.
Thank you, President Ferrini-Mundy. Hello, everyone. My name is Caitlin Howell, and I'm an assistant professor in the Department of Chemical and Biomedical Engineering, as well as a proud UMaine alum. And I'm also very proud to be here today representing two dedicated cross-college collaborative teams who have come together here at the University of Maine to help our communities deal with some of the challenges of COVID-19 through research. So in the first, I'm working together with Dr. Melissa Maginnis, our very own Science Advisory Board lead and talented virologist of the Department of Molecular and Biomedical Sciences, from whom we heard earlier, Dr. Debbie Bouchard and Dr. Andy Holmes of the UMaine Cooperative Extension, our external collaborator, Dr. Jessica Schiffman of UMass Amherst, and of course, our dedicated students who are the ones doing the actual science in the labs every day. Together, we have recently received a National Science Foundation grant to build a bio-inspired filtration system that will capture virus-laden aerosols from the air and allow us to test them for infectivity. Our goal is to build a system that could help monitor airborne viruses or other pathogens in every hospital, travel hub, elder care facility, student union, or any other place where people congregate. In addition, by doing this work, we are also building the capacity at the state-of-the-art high containment biosafety labs at the UMaine Cooperative Extension to be able to perform research on human pathogens such as SARS-CoV-2, the virus that causes COVID-19, as well as any other highly transmissible disease agents that may disrupt our communities in the future. Building this expertise here at the University of Maine will allow us to better serve our purpose as the state's premier research university and position us to offer even more assistance to our larger Maine community going forward. In addition to this, I'm working with Dr. Salome Seke of the School of Computing and Information Science, Dr. Sheila Edalatpour of Mechanical Engineering, Dr. Richard Corey, Dr. Nicholas Giudici, and RJ Perry of the VEMI Lab, as well as a Maine-based paper company, and critically, a team of undergraduate and graduate students that are the glue between us all. Our mission is to build a mass producible system that will allow anyone with a smartphone to be able to easily and accurately detect if a high-risk shared touch surface has been contaminated with a sneeze, a cough, or dirty fingers. The events of the past year have made us hyper aware of how easily disease can spread from one person to another in our shared spaces, and how shared touch surfaces, such as information kiosks or door handles, can be hidden reservoirs of infectious material. Funded by UMaine's own AI initiative, our interdisciplinary team is working to shed light on this problem, quite literally, by using surface patterns and machine learning to identify changes in the way that light interacts with surfaces when they are contaminated. Again, our mission is to be able to create new tools through high-level convergent research to help keep our classrooms, airports, grocery stores, and community gathering places safer, while also providing new opportunities for Maine businesses. Both of these projects are only possible because the University of Maine is a place that brings together scholars and thinkers of different disciplines and of all different levels, from undergraduate to graduate students to professors through research staff, and supports them as they work to create the solutions of the future. I'm grateful to be a part of this effort, and I'm looking forward to participating and celebrating many more years of high impact community-centered science right here in Maine. Thank you.
So thank you to Danielle, Darren, Lois Ann, Sandra, and Caitlin. Let me conclude my remarks by saying that this year has proved that we at UMaine and UMaine Machias can meet challenges, can work together across boundaries that no longer exist, take care of one another, and maybe most importantly, look toward a bright and promising future based on these experiences. Two more points that I'd like to make. I've asked University of Maine at Machias Vice President and Head of Campus Dan Qualls and his leadership team and the faculty, staff, and students at UMaine Machias, together with University of Maine partners, to accelerate our work to solidify and give clarity to the UMaine Machias primary partnership. The goal for this work is to, is to have in place all of the major elements of the integration of University of Maine at Machias as a regional campus of UMaine by the fall of 2021. The exciting mutualistic synergies of these two campuses will take on new shapes and more definition in the coming months. And this is all meant to be for the benefit of our students and our state, and it's very exciting. Today also, I'm announcing that we have formed a President's Commission on Excellence and Equity at the University of Maine. Short title is UMaine 2025. This group is co-chaired by Dr. Kirsten Jacobson, who is chair of the University of Maine Department of Philosophy, and Matt Rodrigue, who is a member of the University of Maine class of 2004. He's currently a managing director of the investment bank Miller Buckfire. The group will be charged to develop a suite of visions for what and how this university will be in 2025. That's the graduation year of the class that will enter in 2021 this fall. UMaine 2025 will take the view that there really isn't a returning to the pre-pandemic days. Rather, we'll encourage them to embrace that we are experiencing a pandemic. We are experiencing a renaissance in focus on racial justice and a vigorous renewed commitment to protecting our environment. What is UMaine's role in educating the future generations who are experiencing all of this and who will lead through tomorrow's challenges and unforeseen events? So stay tuned for more on this great work. I'd like to thank all of you for attending. I'd like to thank all of my co-presenters. And next I will turn to Jamie Morera, and I believe we have some closing comments, but also some Q&A. Thank you again to everyone. Jamie.
Great, thank you, Joan. And also to the many campus voices for your very thoughtful reflections and comments. It was very, very informative. Hello, everyone. I'm Jamie Morera. I'm an associate professor of anthropology and community studies here at the University of Maine at Machias. I'm also the UMM faculty president. I'm very happy to be with you today, and I have the great pleasure of facilitating the question and answer portion of the State of the University event. If you have questions, please submit your questions by email to um.alerts@maine.edu, or you can post them in the chat. We have one question to begin with. Why is the university already choosing a virtual graduation? There are 3 months left to plan, and the vaccines continuously are rolling out, and Maine's COVID numbers are dropping drastically. Why not consider other options, like splitting up grad ceremonies by school and major, holding the ceremony outdoors in large lecture halls, limit the number of guests per students, require attendees to sign a liability waiver? Even a walkthrough a grad ceremony would at least give us the opportunity to have a picture taken. I'll leave the answer to Joan.
Thank you, Jamie. It's a great question, and I know that we made some announcements about commencement earlier this week. So the commencement committee continues to look for ways to celebrate commencement. And the person asking the question is indeed correct. We have some time left. However, at UMaine, the planning, the logistics for a more typical face-to-face commencement are quite substantial and do take a bit of lead time to prepare. That all said, though, we are still very interested in ideas from students, from alums. We are looking at ways to do smaller in-person walkthrough kinds of celebratory events for graduating students and to give them opportunities to have photographs taken, to meet with their faculty. Possibly smaller events by college or department will be considered. But what we would like you to do is go to umaine.edu commencement and click on the suggestion box and get your ideas there. It's a high priority, of course, for all of us to celebrate the incredible accomplishment of commencement. We need to do so safely within guidelines, and we are watching this pandemic very carefully, of course, for so many reasons, but commencement planning being one of them. So thank you for your input to that, and we'll continue to keep everyone updated if new possibilities emerge.
There appear to be no other questions, so I'll turn it back to you, Joan. Thank you.
Thanks again, Jamie, and everyone. What a marvelous way to get a sense of the breadth and scope and depth and commitment of what happens across our two universities. I can't thank you all enough. For those who've been watching, thank you too. We'll make this available following the event, and we'll also make available the contact information and titles of all the folks who've been speaking here today. Thanks again, and have a wonderful day.